A wise man once said, once you understand the value of your words, you won't just say anything. Once you understand the value of your thoughts, you won't just think anything. And once you understand the value of your presence, you won't just be anywhere. So, know your worth, my friend. Today, we'll be talking about how to make breakthroughs firstly in your minds, so then you can shift them and bring them into your life. Because you're an incredible individual. And not many times people will tell you that because they don't know. NASA did this study where they found out that people have the greatest level of a genius when they are the youngest. The youngest kids have the greatest capacity to think creatively and solve problems. As we go through the process of conditioning and education and all the hypnotizing, we lose the sense of creativity, and suddenly we start to look into the world same as everybody else, and that's where we lose this spark of creativity. We start speaking words the same as everybody else. We start thinking thoughts the same as everybody else, and we start being where everyone is. And that's how we get conditioned into a same life situation as most people. So when we're asking ourselves, like, how can I truly break through and create something new? We need to reverse the process, and we need to ask ourselves, are we right now surrounded with who we want to be surrounded with? Are we in places where we truly want to be? Are people around us on the level where we want to be, or are they actually on the level where we don't want to be? Because everyone who went through a process of transformation at a certain phase in their lives has separated from society. Like Nikola Tesla spent most of his days in his lab. He was studying and he was experimenting. That's what he was doing most of the time. Pablo Picasso, he was creating most of the time. Leonardo da Vinci, he was in his studio. He was brainstorming, thinking, experimenting. Most of these people were not so social, but when they went into their social lives, they've been professionals. They knew how to communicate. They knew how to think. They knew how to express themselves. So it's not about being antisocial. It's not being isolated. It's about training yourself constantly and finding your own individuality, so then you can bring it into the world and be that bulb of light that can enlighten new ways, new paths, that can bring new things, renewing into this wonderful world. We live in a wonderful world, right? That craves unique individuals that can think for themselves. So, my friend, your words create worlds. Your words create worlds. And many times when we feel lost in our lives, it's not truly that we are lost. It's that we have limited ourselves into a vision of someone else. And a part of us feels that we don't fit in. We don't fit into that limited box because we know that we're so much more. You're meant to create beautiful things. You're meant to be innovative. You're meant to meet incredible minds. You're meant to experience love in your life. You're meant to experience more abundance in your life, or whatever you crave. You're meant for all of this. But if you stay limited in a box of someone else, you will see no escape. There is no escape in the box. You just need to recognize that you're in the box that you don't need to be in. And as soon as you recognize that you are in the box of someone else, you don't really escape from there. You just recognize that you are not it. You're so much more. You're not escaping from anywhere. You can still be at your job. You can still be meeting these people. But you don't need to identify as someone who's stuck, as someone who's limited. Just study in your private life. Train yourself in quietness. You can still do things same way as before. You can still talk with all these people, but in your private life, you're building something new. You're building a character. You're training yourself. You're building new skills. And then one day, those skills will build a new life for you. And it all starts in your vocabulary. Like, what you know creates your world, right? And most of the time we feel limited, not because there's a problem, but because we just don't know what we don't know. We don't know what could help us to put ourselves into a different position. We don't know what would bring us where we want to be. Let's say we have this clear idea, okay, this is my ideal reality, but I am here and there's no bridge. I don't know what's the bridge. But as soon as you start considering, thinking about, there must be a way to build the bridge. There must be a way to build that bridge. You open up to something powerful. There's an ingredient of intuition. I told you, intuition is a link between your thoughts and emotions. There's something mystical that happens in between when you have these intuitive insights. And right now, as today is the full moon, these insights are more potent. And this is a great time to brainstorm this kind of ideas. Where to expand your vocabulary, because we always see the world based by our knowledge, based by the words that we know. When we learn more words, we see more details. So that's why someone who doesn't have a clue about a marketing can't understand how to bring a product onto the market. But then someone who's good at social media management and marketing management can understand these missing links and can then put that market to more people. So know that your words create your worlds. And that's why studying is so important, my friend. You can study in quietness, read books, read plenty of books, many of books. Read anything that finds you, study it, and then implement it. Because you will see that a renewed mind will experience renewed world. You will not be the same. Once a mind is stretched, it can't go back to where it was. When your mind is changed, your body will be changed, because you will notice that with new knowledge, you can't walk the same path. Now you put yourself into a different path, where you perhaps walk it alone. You walk it alone because now you're on your individual, unique path where you're paving it. It's very unfamiliar thing you will do in your life. Many of you are already doing it. And some of you are feeling stuck on this path because now it's time to study new knowledge. Now it's time to learn something new that will stretch the territory of your perception. You see, many times what we have a problem with is that we're maybe being attracted to superficial things, while we don't dive deeper and ask ourselves what would actually serve me to enlighten my path, not just the surface level things that feel attractive to my attention. Because we're all bombarded with all kinds of different information, but not all this information will enlighten our path. So we need to study what matters to us, so then we can implement it and walk our way. And then you need to understand that most of your thoughts are a seed of your life. The way you think for yourself, do you see possibilities, or all you think about are doubts? There's nothing wrong with doubts. Like, I have many negative thoughts. I don't want to be overconfident about anything because sometimes it can turn into arrogance, and I want to walk that line somewhere in between. Somewhere in between where I have confidence, but I also have a certain sense of disbelief in myself. So I'm constantly challenging myself to see if what I'm talking about really works. Is it really coming from my experiences, or is this something that I don't truly believe in? So I don't fall too much into arrogance, too much into one corner. I want to stay in the middle. And therefore, I don't see negative thoughts as something bad, but I need to challenge them. I need to challenge my negative thinking. I need to challenge my doubts, and I need to balance them with faith. So when you have doubts in your life, it's usually because you're lacking results. And you're lacking results maybe because you haven't experienced them yet. You haven't put enough of work into it, or there was not enough time of your effort, of your persistence and consistency yet. Keep doing the work. Keep walking the path, and eventually you will create results. Like, it's almost impossible, if you stay devoted to your journey, that you would not experience results. It's almost impossible. At some point you will meet them, and that will be a breakthrough. That breakthrough will give you knowledge. It will give you a result that will kill doubt. And these new results will bring new doubts. It's a constant battle. This is the yin-yang, white-black. You see, white has a black dot and black has a white dot, which means that in your greatest possible confidence, there will always be a seed of doubt. And in your greatest doubt, there will be a seed of faith. That's why in the story of Adam and Eve, there was a snake, right? It was not a perfect place. There was a seed of something that people describe as evil. There's always a seed of evil, but there's also a seed of faith. And we need to find the balance in between. So don't be so obsessed to think positively, to only see the positive world. See the truth and then experiment with the truth. The truth will expose yourself to lies, and it will expose yourself to laziness sometimes, and it will expose yourself to everything you've been avoiding. But it will also expose yourself to rewards, to pleasure, to beautiful things that come with that journey. Your thoughts are the seeds of your life, but sometimes we need to plant a poisonous flower so we recognize why it's not so necessary to do something like that. And many times we learn from our own mistakes, so don't be afraid to make mistakes, my friend. I've made many of them, and we all did. But the point is that you keep experimenting, right? We keep experimenting on our journeys. That's how we expand. I know how much I've been afraid of making mistakes in my life, especially when I've started this YouTube channel. And I thought, oh, I shouldn't make a mistake with my language. But that's how I learn. Like, if you go and watch my oldest videos, you will see my language, my English language has expanded a bit because I was making mistakes, and then people kindly commented, hey, you could use these words this way. And that's how I learned. Because of you, because of your feedback, I am growing. And because of my growth, you can grow as well. So that's why mistakes are beautiful. They're beautiful. Make many of them because it's a sign of growth. This is something very powerful. So another thing that I've noticed on this journey is that at some point I've stopped cutting videos because mistakes are beautiful. Mistakes are beautiful, and you can see my mistakes. They're beautiful because every time we do something we say wrong, we just get a reflection on when or where we could do it differently. Also understand, my friend, as I said at the beginning, once you value your presence, you will not just be anywhere. Your presence shapes the energy around you. But sometimes the energy around you will shape your presence. Depends on what's strongest. Is your presence stronger than your environment, or is your environment stronger than your presence? When we start following our path, at some point we start to think how much our environment affects our state of being. Are we really doing our own thing, or are we actually being influenced by the world around us? Because once we start doing our own thing, like when I've started painting and doing content and setting up a store, I've noticed while it takes so much time, I just can't do things same way as before. Like towards the end of 2023 into beginning of 2024, me and Maya decided to set our own online store. Before we had everything on Etsy, and then we put everything on AttractPassion.com. It took us a lot of work. We could pay someone, but we said we want to understand the whole process, so we built it up on our own, and we recognize, well, it takes a lot of work. Now we understand the process. Now we can actually help someone with that. And when we start looking at things like, how can I learn something that will improve my life, so then when I improve my life, I can help someone else to improve their lives, we recognize we can't live the same as before. We can't spend so much time with other people doing other things. Now we kind of become more devoted to the craft that can actually liberate us from certain limitations we've experienced in the past. Start valuing your presence more, because there are places and there are people who will really see your worth for what it is. And there are places and people who will never see you for who you can be. Be surrounded with those who will actually see you for who you can become, not just who you are, because they will inspire you, they will motivate you. If you can't find those people, I know I'm coming from an environment where I was not surrounded with quite inspiring people, so I found them in books. I've read many books, many autobiographies, and that inspired me. So I've recognized, well, you can really choose your own path, but you will need to be quite devoted to it. And you will need to challenge yourself quite a lot, especially challenge your insecurities, challenge your limiting beliefs, and identify your main values, identify your main reasons why you are doing it, why you want to walk a path that is yours. Once you know that, you start valuing where you're the most needed. Where you're the most needed. Are you needed at certain parties, or are you needed at your craft? Whatever you do what your future self will be grateful for. Because, well, right now it may feel you're living this life for yourself, but every time you do something, you also sacrifice yourself for your future self. And if you only do things that are good for you right now, then you're sacrificing your future self for yourself right now, and there will come a time when you will maybe regret something. So you need to expand your vision, not just wide, but also further into a potential of who you can become, and then make it the highest possible goal out of it, because maybe your job right now is to become the best of you can be. And this process of becoming the best you is called individualization, because you're becoming who you are as the most authentic you. You're relearning everything you've been taught, and you're letting go of these false ideas of what is possible for you. You're going back into this kind of childlike playfulness and creativity where you start to recognize that, well, before the world told you who you should be, you've been someone who was already good enough. But then you need to find that someone and recognize why that someone is already good enough. There's something unique about that you before that you was programmed into somebody, right? It's not just, I will just be. There's a need. Life has a will. It has emotion. It has a need for expression. This is life, right? So it's not like I will just be. Well, you can just be if you want to be. But at some point you will feel boredom. You will feel stagnation. And then it's a sign. Oh, now I want to express. Now I want to create. Now I want to resolve something. And that's when great geniuses look into the world and they look for problems so they can solve. You look into the world and you start looking for problems that you can solve. And that's when you will start tapping into your own genius, and you will embrace it, and you will recognize, yeah, that's why I've been pulled so deeply into this kind of subjects and topics. Like, I don't know, you've been pulled into electricity because maybe you're here to design a new engine for whatever. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But yeah, me as a little kid, I've been constantly pulled into drawing and into creativity, and not just art, but kind of beauty. Like, my father often said to me, there's a competition where, I don't know, one car company was looking for new designs, and he often asked me if I would create some new designs and we can send them. So I was often brainstorming, like, what would be the next design for that car company. And that was something I was enjoy doing, like constant creative thinking of solutions. And now when we have all this new technology, like, there's endless possibilities. I'm constantly brainstorming about it. And yeah, so much new doors are opening for all of us if we learn how to think with your own mind. And for that, you need to understand your nature. You need to learn how to put yourself back into your nature and recognize what your nature is like, where you feel the most natural, where you feel the most creative, where you feel the most productive, where you feel the most playful, where you feel the most productive. And put yourself more frequently in this kind of environments, in this kind of places. Surround yourself with this kind of people, because it will reward you, not in money or any of that, but in energy. And then your energy, when you will put it more into your work, into expression, into whatever, and organize it in a very profound way and build compoundingly on it, then it will take you to also financial rewards and all other kinds of rewards. So my friend, value your words, value your thoughts, and value your presence. Value this, because that will create breakthroughs in your life. Huge breakthroughs. I will leave you here. I hope you found great value, my friend. And yes, I want to say big thanks to everyone for choosing to support my art on AttractPassion.com, where you can find prints of my art, some of the original paintings, some other products. Go and check it out. With that, you're supporting this mission. And also thanks to everyone for joining our Patreon community for more exclusive content. Also follow me on Instagram, AttractPassion, AttractPassion Art. You will find the daily inspiration, and the other one is more personal for art gallery. Go and check it out, and till next time, one love.